This episode is sponsored by Brewers Decorators Centres in support of raising mental health awareness in the UK construction industry. Brewers Decorators Centres have over 200 stores nationwide and offer free next day delivery on all the best brands such as Albany, Benjamin Moore, Dulux, Graco, Mercer, Johnson's, Zinza and Thermogard. And the Talking Tradesman podcast would like to offer our sincere thanks for offering your support in continuing to grow the podcast and reach as many people as possible. Thank you. On to the episode. Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Talking Tradesman. Today I am joined by a very special guest for a few reasons, but I am joined by Rossi, the female decorator. It's a special episode because Rossi is actually the very first female tradie that we've had on. So Rossi, let's talk. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Yeah, very well.
Good stuff. Thank you very much for coming down all the way from Northampton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hour and a half.
Smashing. Not too bad of a run then.
No, it's all right.
You don't take the medal for the longest. But you are, as I say, the first lady. You're not the first lady, but you're the first lady tradeswoman. I get the right term.
Tradeswoman, yeah.
Tradeswoman on the show. So on the show, is it a show? On the podcast. Get all my words right today. But yeah, so you have the honours.
Thank you.
You've took that first spot. Right, as with any story, you've come to tell your story today. Where does your story start?
Well, I can go back to when I was 2 and my brother was 4. So there's just me and my brother. And my mum split up with my dad and we moved down to Worthing, which I'm guessing is down by...
I actually haven't got a clue. My geography's...
It's the bottom of the UK.
Is it?
Yeah, right at the bottom. Yeah. Worthing. Don't remember too much about it, but we moved down there to get away from my dad because he was quite an awful person. He was quite violent. He was not very nice to my mum. And the only way we could get away from him, because she tried a couple of times apparently, to get away from him, but she couldn't. And then all of a sudden we just up and left. And
you remember that at 2?
Yeah. Yeah, my brother was 4.
Mad. I was having this conversation, obviously we were talking about this pre-record, but my memories are like well after that. I think I'm somewhere around about 6 to 8 before I remember anything.
Wow.
So yeah, like 2, I mean, that's like proper toddler, isn't it?
Yeah, 2 and 4. We moved down there, got a place down there, and my brother started school down there. And the only reason why we had to come back to Northampton was because my mum's dad passed away. He was only 48, and he died on his forklift, at work.
I'm sorry to hear that.
From high cholesterol.
I don't suppose do you remember him at that age?
No, not really. Not at all. Only photos really I've seen of him, but I don't remember him as a person. But yeah, he was only 48. So we moved back up to Northampton so my mum could be with her mum.
Right.
And the family and stuff. And then we got a house and there was just me and my mum and my brother. And then my mum got back with my dad again.
Oh, okay.
Because he was hassling her, wouldn't leave her alone apparently. So they got back together. I think it was for a year or 2, something like that. Still didn't work. So we moved out, got another house, and I started school. And he was still hassling my mum. I mean, he would turn up at the school. He would try and pick me and my brother up from school when he weren't allowed.
Really?
Yeah, he turned up at our house one day, sprayed all of our windows and our front door black so we couldn't see out of them.
Christ.
Wouldn't leave my mum alone.
Nothing but traumatic memories of your dad at that age.
Yeah, horrible person, like horrible. I don't remember anything nice about him, like nothing. He turned up at the house one day and my auntie, which is my mum's youngest sister, she's 10 years older than me, she was on the bus, got off the bus to go and see her friend who lived down the road from us, and she was going to pop in and see us as she was walking past. And my dad was already at the front door. I remember me and brother sitting on the stairs because I was just to the left of the front door, and my mum's trying not to let him in. And he's obviously shouting and screaming and stuff. And then my auntie, obviously seeing what was happening, come in between them. And as he turned around to go and hit my mum because he had a baseball bat for whatever reason, whacked my auntie over the head with a baseball bat.
Jesus Christ. So quite a character there.
Yeah, horrible. Yeah, nasty. Yeah, so, really horrible.
Just picking at that, like, it sounds like most of your memories are how he behaved towards your mum.
Yeah.
How was your relationship with him? Was the one, or?
I don't really remember
You
having
don't
one
remember?
at all. No, I don't. He never laid a finger on me and my brother. It was always my mum. Just wouldn't leave her alone. Didn't want. I don't know if he didn't want to be with her, but wouldn't let her move on,
Yeah.
or he just genuinely wanted to be with her. I don't know. But
Wow.
that happened, and then
So were you back in Northampton at this point?
yeah, back in Northampton in our house.
Okay.
We was there for a long, long time. We finally left my mum alone, and my mum moved on. Started going out with another guy. It was really nice. And I think I was about 12, and my real dad got in contact with my mum and said, "Can I see the kids?" And she asked us, and we were like, "Yeah, okay." So we met down at a local pub down the road, and we sat in there and we met him, and he just had no conversation. He was like, "So how's school? How are you? Like, what do you like doing?" And me and my brother were just sitting there like really, really bored now. Like there was just no interest there from our side. He didn't come across like he wanted to see us. And we come away from there and we both said to my mum, "Don't really want to see him again." And she was like, "Okay, that's fair enough. Like, it's your choice." So we carried on as we were. Didn't hear from him again. And then I started driving at 17, and I left school. All through school, I was quite quiet. I didn't like
Just
to be.
pull it back a little bit. How was school for you? It's an interesting question because a lot of tradespeople say the same thing. So I'm just wondering, like, how was school for you? The school system and all the rest of it.
It was okay. I went to a lower, a middle, and an upper school.
So did I. Yeah, 3-tier. Yeah.
And my
Personally,
brother was 2
I think
years.
that's better.
Yeah, I quite like it because it's slightly smaller. You're only in a few years and then you change. And
well, that's it. My kids have both gone through 2-tier. My daughter is just about to go into what will be what I would have considered high school or what they call secondary. But I mean, she's 11.
Yes.
So she'll be what terrifies me is like she'll be going to school with 16-year-olds.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, I don't like that.
That's what my little boy Cooper, next year he'll go into year 6, which will be the last year of his primary. Then he'll go to secondary as well.
It's a weird thought when you've done 3-tier.
Yeah.
I mean, my kids, it's perfectly normal. Like my son did the same, and he's like, "Why would you have another school?" Like they think it's not. I guess it's whatever you get used to, isn't it? But once you've been through a 3-tier system, which I think they're pretty much getting rid of now, aren't they? I don't think there's many places.
Yeah.
I know my hometown, Redditch, they've brought in the 2-tier system, and there's this whole weird thing where some of the kids in the town are doing 2-tier and some are doing 3. And you have to follow a different school track, obviously, depending on which one you're in. Yeah. But yeah, I think most places are 2-tier now. But yeah, so sorry, you went into your 3-tier system.
Yes, yeah. I was. I didn't hate school. I wasn't the brightest, but I also wasn't like stupid.
Yeah.
I was average at most things. I loved graphics. I loved art. I loved to draw. And then I liked PE and stuff.
So artistic, and now you've ended up as a painter and decorator.
I always used to love drawing and making things, especially graphics. It's about the only 2 things I've got an A in both of them. Everything else was C, D, and below. But yeah, it was okay. I wasn't the most popular person. I didn't want to be either. If I was in a crowd of people, you'd see me at the back. Okay. I didn't want to be at the front. I didn't want to be heard because I just didn't want the thought of loads of people looking at me and stuff like that. I was just like,
this is going out to thousands of people,
no,
Rossi.
Thank you. So it's, my confidence has always been quite low.
Even from school?
Yeah. I just didn't want to be centre of attention. Like the thought of someone throwing me a party, no thank you. No, I do not. I don't want one of them. I'd go to someone's party, like no problem. But I wouldn't want it all eyes on me. Yeah,
I get that.
And I've always really been like that. And same with upper school. Everything was okay. And then I left school and I went to college and I did a sports diploma, science sports diploma. I wanted to be a fitness instructor.
Okay.
So I went there for 2 years and it was a 3-year course, but I didn't finish it. I just wanted to do the practical stuff. I didn't want to do the written. So I just quit in the end. But
so where did you go from there once you left college?
I left there and I went and worked at a in-car multimedia company, just a little company. One of my mum's friends, he would sell in-car DVD players, sat-navs, alarms.
Oh, okay.
Mobile devices to
put
your phone and all in your car.
Ones.
Yeah, to fit them all in your car.
I'm not sure how old you are, to be fair, but I know with my generation, Do you remember I can't remember the car stereo, but the one with the dolphins on? No, that's,
Dolphin.
yeah.
Can't
Anyone of
think
my
what it's
generation will remember the car stereo. I don't know what it was. It might have been Kenwood. I'm not sure. But
I remember
it was
Kenwood.
like, it was the first aftermarket car stereo that come out. And there'll be people listening to this going, I remember. Or it might just be me. But there was the first aftermarket car stereo come out. It had like an LCD display on it.
Yeah.
And there were these dolphins that used to, like blue dolphins.
I do remember on the screen.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, I do remember.
That was it. And everybody wanted that.
The blue dolphins.
Yeah, just because of the dolphins. And you'd just be driving along in your mate's little, what was it when I was a kid, like Saxo VXR or whatever.
I had a Saxo.
You had a Saxo?
Yeah.
Did you have the VXR though?
No, I had, it was bright yellow, like mustard yellow. That was my first
Right,
car.
Okay, yeah. Straight
and
away,
it was only a 1.4, but it looked like the VTR model, so it had like the bumpers and stuff like that.
Okay, yeah.
Just not the engine. And then further down the line, I then got a black Saxo VTR. Thought it was really
Just
cool.
to bring into this, Rossi is well into her cars. She mentioned it before coming in here. So yeah, this is now making sense. So have you always been like girl racer kind of?
Yeah, mad.
Vibes.
I've had loads of cars.
Have you?
Yeah,
Oh,
loads.
fair play.
Yeah.
Have you got a car now other than your van or?
White Polo.
Right,
Black
okay.
Polo, yeah.
GTI?
So, no, it's a TSI,
Right.
but it's white and it's got black wing mirrors. It's got the black badges. It's not got no badges on the back, no rear wiper
Debadged.
and stuff like that.
There we go. See, Rossi's pulled up in a very cool van today. Lowered, can't do speed bumps, but it's a very nice. I'm going to have to take a picture of your van to add on to the episode details just to illustrate this, Rossi.
It looks nice, but it's not very practical.
There we go. But yeah, so let's pull back. I'm trying to stay on track here because we do this. I like divert into things. Yeah. Car stereos. So you were working with in-car entertainment.
One of my
car
mum's
stereos.
friends, he was based in a small office, and I just went and helped him. And he had a couple of lads that would go out and fit them into people's cars. So I did that for a little bit, and then I went into the proper car parts industry. So I worked at the time it was called CAS, Central Auto Supplies, which they sell car parts to the public and the trade. I don't know if you've ever seen any of the vans go around.
Possibly.
And I also worked at GSF Car Parts.
I've seen them, yeah.
And also Euro Car Parts.
Oh, okay. So you've done the circuit.
So since shortly after driving, probably 18. Yeah, probably about 18 I was. All through up to 2021. Yeah, since I started decorating.
You started decorating in 21?
2022. January 22.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Just over a year.
2 years. Because we're 24 now, aren't we?
Just started. Yeah, it was a year. It was January last year.
Oh, okay. So January 23.
That's 23. Yeah.
Wow.
So 6 months before that, I worked somewhere else, but I'll tell you that in a minute.
We'll get there, but just so to highlight, so you're very new into the. Is that your first dip into the building trades?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we'll talk about that in a bit, but yeah, fair play. Let's go back to 18.
Always been in the car parts. So I worked at CAS for a few years, and then I got poached by GSF Car Parts, so I went there, and I was always in sales.
Yeah.
So always on the phone in the office for GSF, and then when I was 21. So I was going out with a guy when I was 17 up to 21, and the last probably year or so of the relationship started to really die down. I started really to reflect on myself and thinking, is this what I want? This doesn't feel right.
In terms of the relationship or the...
me personally. And that's when I obviously knew that it wasn't a guy that I wanted to be with anymore. So when I was 21, obviously I was on my own and was going out with a few friends and stuff, going to a couple of gay bars and stuff like that. And then it probably took me about 6 months to get my head around it. And I was like, no, I think I'm actually gay. Like, I am.
Yeah.
And I was so scared about telling my mum, telling people, because I didn't want people to think
this was at
of me.
21 then, Rossi?
Yeah, 21.
Because, I mean, some of the questions I might ask might be quite ignorant because obviously I know nothing about it. But did you... So until that point when you were in that relationship and you thought this isn't really working for you, did you feel that you were straight at that point, or were you just like what
It's
I
a
mean
hard
is,
one.
because I've got other friends that are gay who have sort of said that they always knew, like
Yeah,
from really young.
yeah.
So was it a case of with you? Did you know, or did it just?
I think in the back of my mind, I must have known. I've always been quite a tomboy. I've always
Mm,
never been like a makeup girly girl, dresses, stuff like that. No,
yeah.
no. I was always in my trainers. I was always out following my brother playing football.
Okay.
Just wanted to be with the boys, and I was supported Liverpool when I was younger. And my brother was Man U, and we
Yeah.
used to go and watch football.
You
And
gonna tell me you don't support Liverpool anymore?
I don't follow it as much anymore. Like for
Right. I was gonna
years,
say
when I was
because
about 16, I stopped playing
yeah.
because I used to play football.
Okay.
Um, and then as I've grown up and then I got into cars, I didn't really support a team anymore, and I didn't really follow
Right.
football as such
So I'm a
anymore.
Liverpool fan, you see. So I was going to say, if you had
Okay.
turned coat, then I probably shouldn't. I've never put this out there. Actually, I'm probably going to lose
I didn't
half my
know that.
listeners now. I'm neutral, completely neutral. Just love football. So yeah,
So, where was we?
21.
Yeah, 21. So, yeah, in the back of my mind, I've always been a tomboy. And when I told my brother, he said, I always knew you were. You just had to admit it
I
to
mean,
yourself.
yeah. How was that for you? The whole coming out thing? Because again, not that I'll ever know or understand it, but I can imagine that it must be terrifying to
Yeah,
approach family. I mean, how was
yeah.
it?
It was one of the scariest things I've ever done, especially telling my mum, because I'm so close to my mum. She's like my best friend.
Yeah.
She didn't take it very well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and she was really upset. She didn't understand, and she said, I'm never going to get a grandchild now. Like, what? I don't get it. I don't understand. And she was searching on the internet, like, I don't understand it all. So I just don't get it. I said, I don't know what you want me to say, Mum. Like, this is
This is
me.
who I
This
am.
is who I am. Yeah. And we didn't speak for a little while because I knew that she needed to get her head around it and understand it and things like that. And she always thought, well, what have I done something wrong? I said, no, you haven't done anything wrong.
That perspective, though, isn't it, that it could potentially be something wrong, but it's
Yeah.
not, is it? It's just who you are.
Yeah.
So,
And I said, it doesn't mean I can't have children. That's still not impossible. And that was one of the reasons that was one thing that made her quite upset. She thought that she wouldn't get a grandchild.
yeah.
And I said, no, I said, I've always wanted a child and I still will have a child. At some point, I will have a child or children. Like
And
that
you've
will
already
not,
mentioned that you have.
yeah, and that won't
So,
stop
yeah.
me. And it didn't. And I went out with somebody for a couple of years, 3 or 4 years. And then I decided, I think I was late 27. And I decided that I did want to have a baby. The person that I was with at the time, she wasn't ready. So I was going to have the baby first.
Okay.
And there's lots of like forums on the internet and things like that for sperm donors.
As in,
So I
like,
actually got a sperm donor
yeah.
to have Cooper, my little one.
Yeah.
So basically, you put a profile on there, and then people contact you.
Again, like, clueless as to what, because I've heard of sperm banks. Was
Yeah,
this like an unofficial version of, or was this done like through an official, or how did that work? I guess is the best
it's like
question.
a proper forum. You know, when you join a forum that's about a certain thing, it's just one of those on the internet. It's a forum that people join. People go on there they tell you their experiences. People go on there and ask for help and
Yeah.
advice and things like that. It was just one of those.
And the donations, as it were, are they coming? Are they vetted? Is there like any health profiling, or how does it work? I'm like I say, I'm just genuinely interested as
Yeah.
to how that
So
process goes.
we had just one guy message us, and then he said, I've helped 2 gay couples out already to have a child. If you want to meet up and speak, I can give you any information that you would like and any help and advice and things like
Oh,
that.
okay, so this was all done privately,
Yeah. He sent us a
right?
message, and he lives probably about 25 minutes away from us. So we met him one day at Costa, and we sat down for a couple of hours, and he just told us, and he said, you do really need to be careful about these kind of websites because you do get the wrong people on there, and
Yeah.
they will message you for the wrong reasons. and things like that. And he said, look, I'm open to help you if you would like me to. So I got a load of information about him. He's basically a twin. He doesn't want, there's nothing wrong with him. He doesn't want to settle down and have his own family. But he said, why can't I help others that can't fall as easy, i.e. to women?
Well, it's quite a noble thing to do, isn't it? I guess my head goes straight to people that would misuse that position.
Yes.
And then my next sort of question would be, where do you stand in terms of like rights? So do you sign anything?
Yeah.
Like, how does that work?
So we spoke about all of that, and I said the thing is, I don't want him to come into the world, him or her, come into the world and have to share that child. I want that child to be mine.
Yeah, so no involvement from the donor.
No,
yeah,
that's what I don't want. Years down the line, saying that's my child, blah blah blah.
Yeah,
so that's what I don't want. I don't want all the implications.
Well, I guess to play devil's advocate on it, Rossi, as well, is like, I guess both ways. So he would need some sort of protection in terms of, and I guess that's because to me, I think if I've thought of anyone that's, say, gone for a sperm donor process, I would have thought it was anonymous, or there was some kind of anonymity to it, to protect both parties. But also, I guess from a man's point of view, thinking, well, you could then go to him down the line and go, well, actually, I want child support. So is there anything that you put in place to protect both of you?
Well, we met 2 or 3 times, just so we could be sure of him being the one that we wanted us to help. And he met my mum as well. And
oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
He met my mum as well, because me and my mum are so close. I wanted her to be involved as well. And he came to my mum's house as well, and we all had a chat there as well. And I said to him, look, if you don't mind, I will get you tested at the hospital so I can see all the results, so I know that there's nothing wrong with you, etc. And he was like, absolutely fine. He was like, I'll get the results sent straight to you rather than sending them to myself, so that you can see them. So we all went down there. He got tested, and then the results were sent to me. And he said, I don't want any involvement. He said, when the time comes and the child is old enough and wants to know who his dad is, and wants a relationship with me, then my door is always open.
Okay.
He said, so I won't be involved at the start. I'll only be involved as much as you want me to.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is too good to be true. Like, he's such a nice guy, so friendly, lovely, just wants to help people. And I just thought, this is just crazy. Like, but kept going with it. Everything was okay with him. He offered to help. I sat and thought about it for a while, and then I was like, he's the one I want to help me. And I fell pregnant straight away.
Well, to be honest, it's a really brave thing for both of you in that situation. Fair play. I obviously have got no knowledge of that whole process. That's why I was genuinely like quizzical as to how that works.
Because everyone's like, well, did you have to sleep with him? And I'm like, no, I didn't. I didn't
I'm not going to lie, Rossi. It did pop into my head, but I didn't want to go down that route of asking for the details. But if you want to go there, then that's up to you.
No, that was one thing that I was dead set against. Not doing it.
I'm not surprised.
So, and he was like, I didn't expect you to anyway. I'm not about that. And people on those forums are, and they're on there for the wrong reasons.
Oh, really?
And
so that does happen? People will say like...
He said he's spoken to a number of people when they've said like, I've spoken to this person, they've done this to me, and they've just met me and all they wanted to do was sleep with me. And he said, you really do have to be so careful.
Fucking hell. I mean, that's like a very vulnerable position for you to put yourself in. But like I said, I mean, I guess I'm thinking it's also vulnerable for them in terms of, as I say, like the legal ramifications. Or the responsibilities, I guess, financially. I mean, again, not to pry too much, but what's the situation with that? Is there a disclaimer that you sign to say that essentially you're not? Because I'm just thinking from this chap, if he was helping out several couples, I mean, potentially, if there was nothing in place down the line, he could have half a dozen people turn up and go, well, actually, mate, these are your kids, you need to pay.
So his idea was to help out 3 couples.
Oh, so he's limited, right?
Yeah,
okay.
He's limited himself. and he said if any of the 3 couples wanted to have another child, he would help them again.
Oh, so you've
Again
got
and
like
again,
4
but
brothers and sisters.
so he only wanted to help 3, maximum 4, he said, but he actually stopped after he helped me. So he's got 2 boys and a girl.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's only helped 3. He said that he didn't want to help loads and loads of people.
Another question that's just sprang to mind is, are you, all the people that he's helped, I guess biologically, those children are half brothers and sisters of each other?
Yeah.
Are you guys in contact?
No, I don't speak to any of them. One of them lives down by the coast, and that's the little boy, and it's actually a man and a woman. But he, for some reason, he couldn't have a child.
Yeah.
But nobody knew. So to this day, they still think that the man and the woman have had the child.
Is he aware that it's not his?
Yes. Yeah. They both approached my guy to ask for help, but on the agreement that no one was to know that he was involved, because they wanted everyone to know that that was his mum and dad. Yeah. And they had a little boy, but the mum, unfortunately, a few years ago passed away.
Oh, fucking
but he doesn't speak to them anymore because that was the agreement. Once the child was here, he had no involvement at all.
Yeah, I can imagine in that situation.
Because the mum and dad didn't want anybody to know. So he doesn't have anything to do with that little boy. He does with the little girl. That's 2 ladies that are together, and they're still together today. And I believe she is a year or 2 older than my boy, and Cooper is 9. So she's perhaps 10 or 11.
And if you don't mind me asking, Rossi, like your son Cooper, is he aware of the situation? Or yeah, and he's the contact.
He sees his dad, James.
Oh, okay.
So when Cooper was born, so that was 2014. Cooper was born, and we had an agreement that James would see him as being James, not his dad, just as James to start with. He would see him around his birthday and around Christmas. And now and again, we'd pass messages on, like all through my pregnancy. Every time I had a scan or anything like that, I would message him and say, everything's all okay.
Yeah.
Just to let you know, just try to keep him in the loop sort of thing. So we spoke like that. And then it wasn't until probably about 2 or 3 years ago, we sat down and had a conversation with Cooper and said that James was his dad. And he was just like, oh, okay. But why do you not live with Daddy anymore then? And I said, no, we didn't ever live together. And he wasn't really interested in the conversation at that point because of his age. Yeah. And it was sort of left like that. And if you talk about him, he will always say James.
Right.
But he will say, James, my dad.
Yeah.
And I've said to him, if you ever want to call him dad, because he is your dad, you're very welcome to. And he says, no, I think I'll just call him James.
I mean, obviously it's not a traditional situation, as it were, but then not much is these days. But I think it's really cool that you've got that and that your son has got that link in terms of, I guess, because he's going to have questions down the line of his like heritage and like all that kind of thing, I guess. So it's cool that there is that open door, which potentially like an anonymous donor wouldn't leave.
Yeah. I think that's what I quite like because James was so laid back. He was just like, if that's what you want to do, then I'm here and my door is always open. And
it's a really unique situation for him to put himself in as well.
Yeah.
And I say that from the perspective of being a dad myself.
Yeah.
And like my kids, and obviously wanting to be like I am a very involved parent. But to want to sort of like, I guess, give people the gift of a child, but also have the restraint to stand back, but also be there if they need. Like it's like you said, it's almost like too good to be true, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, wow, it's
the last couple of years. If there's a school holidays or anything like that, he will come and take Cooper out for the day, and he will bring a present round on his birthday and at Christmas.
That's cool.
But apart from that, we don't. He doesn't constantly bug me or anything like that. He's not that type of person. He's very busy with his work.
Yeah.
And he travels a lot. He does a lot of filming and documentaries, and he makes games, computer games and stuff.
Okay.
And I think that's where Cooper gets his gaming and stuff from. See, everyone looks at Cooper and sees me and him straight away. You're so alike. You're so like your mum. But when you put him next to his dad, they're so very alike.
Okay.
his mannerisms and how he is and things like that, and the things that he's interested in.
It's a beautiful journey, though, that you have been able to go on in
Yeah.
terms of, still being a mom and going through all that, yet obviously wanting to be in a relationship with another woman rather than
Yeah.
being with a man. So, yeah, it sounds cool.
Yeah. He was, shortly after he was born, I split up with the partner I was with, because once he was born, I was just like, I've got this baby and I don't care about anything else, as bad as it sounds.
So you realised that you weren't
I
that
was,
into your partner at the
yeah, and I
time.
was just so besotted with him. Day and night, I was just all for Cooper, just constantly. And it didn't work out, but he was more important at that point, and I just
Yeah.
got on with it. And my mum was there, and I went and got my own house when he was 4 months old, which is the house that I live in still now.
So your mum got her grandchild.
Yeah. And ever since, she's always had him one night a week, and she still does now. Every Wednesday she picks him up from school, has him overnight, and it's just a little thing that they have, and they're very close.
I take it, you said that your mum took it badly initially. I'm assuming that worked its way out and that
Yeah,
she's completely cool with things
slowly,
now.
within that year, she came to terms with it,
Hmm.
and obviously I wouldn't rub it in her face or anything like that. And it was all like softly and things, but yeah, she's brilliant now. And
I mean, have you, because I'm always conscious putting these episodes out that there's people listening that could well be in your situation as you were years ago.
yeah,
I mean, I guess that's always a big point, isn't it, for anyone that does come out, as it were. I'm not a big fan of that phrase, because
no,
I kind of think like you are what you are, and you
yeah,
shouldn't have to come out
yeah.
like you just are
You
yourself.
shouldn't have to
But
stand and explain like who you
exactly,
are and
yeah,
be scared by doing that.
that's it. I think society is becoming more and more accepting of
Yeah,
everybody's differences. That does seem to be a good point.
yeah,
But
more
what
and
I
more
was
so now.
what I was getting at was, is there anything you would say to, if you could rewind the clock to you at that point where you were thinking about coming out, telling your family, is there any advice you would give yourself and therefore give others in terms of knowing what you know now?
I would have came out a lot sooner. 100%. I wouldn't have kept it back, because you're taking away the person that you are, and you should be able to be who you want to be,
It must be
no matter
horrible
what. Yeah,
having to
it's the
hold that
weirdest
in.
feeling, and you feel like people are going to be disappointed in you, because
Yeah,
the norm is boy and girl and things like that. Like, it's not normal, especially like the
yeah.
older generation, like my nan and things like that. You think it's just not okay for them, is it, when they hear things like that? And you think, oh God. And yeah, I did lose some friends when I did come out, and I can't say who I lost, but there's people that I didn't really speak to anymore, and I don't know whether it was
Do
because
you know
of
what,
that
Rossi?
or
Yeah,
not. And I think, do you know what? I
those
am
people
who
were
I
not.
am, and
Yeah,
I've never been so happy being who I am now.
you're better off without those people.
Yeah,
And I think it's not just like that kind of life event that dictates that. I think as you move through life, you
everything.
naturally
Yeah,
evolve and leave people behind. I think it's like a caterpillar butterfly situation on loop. Like you're
yeah,
constantly evolving, constantly hatching into a new person. And at those points, you will have people that will come with you and people that won't,
yeah.
and people that stay where they are. And, like you said, you're far better off. If anyone was going to decide to not be your friend because you've come out and said who you really are, they're not your friend, are they? Simple as
I
that.
know, because they didn't really know who I was, did they?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
They're
And,
being friends with someone they don't really know.
how can you judge whether you be friends with somebody based on their sexual orientation?
Yeah, yeah.
It's just, it's that kind of person is not somebody to be friends with anyway. But so yeah, you'd say don't hold it, don't hold it in.
No, definitely don't hold it in. No, definitely not. It's not. It's for yourself. It's not, obviously, for your mental health and things like that.
Massive, yeah.
Massively. It's it made me so anxious. It made me scared. It made me second guess myself, thinking, is this just a phase? And then further down the line, no, it's definitely not a phase. This is really who I am. And then thinking, oh God, what are people going to say?
Do you know what though? If it was a
But at the
phase,
end of
that's
the
fine
day, when you
too.
think about it, you shouldn't really care,
Exactly.
should you?
Yeah, as long as you're
It doesn't
happy.
matter what anyone else thinks,
No,
because
that's it.
you're the person that's got to live that life.
100%.
And if you're happy, then people should be
Look,
happy. The right people will be happy for you.
absolutely. And like I said, I'm a parent myself, so I've got a boy and a girl. And if either one of them were straight, gay, boy, whatever, that's cool with me. I'm literally, as long as they're happy and safe,
Yeah.
whatever. I don't care who they're in a
Yeah.
relationship with. Happy and safe, preferably legal. But do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that is all my concern is, just that. I would rather them be in a same-sex relationship and be happy and safe than trying to live a life that wasn't like authentic to them
Yes.
and potentially not be safe.
Yeah.
You know, so it's hopefully, like I say, things are kind of evolving, and the younger generations that are coming through now won't have the same concerns that you did, or, you know, my generation, because I guess my parents and my grandparents were certainly of a different mindset.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
you know, to speak bluntly, they're dying out. Do you know what I mean? It's legitimately,
yeah.
that's what's
Yeah.
happening. You know, people are getting older and more aware. So, yeah.
It's a lot more. It's a lot more known now, isn't it? It's a lot more just the norm, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I
Now
mean, I
it's
think
becoming more.
so, but
Yeah, more
obviously
so. I've
you're in a
realised.
much better sort of
Yeah,
position
it
to
is.
know
Yeah,
that than me.
no one really bats an eyelid now when I'm like, you're
No.
talking genuine, and I say my other half. No, I say my wife, my girlfriend, my fiance, and no one ever thinks or looks at me to say,
No.
oh, it's just
Yeah.
that's just how it
Do you know what? I
is.
think even subconsciously now, when I speak to people I don't know, I use the word partner
Yeah.
because I don't assume anymore.
Yes.
Because I think it is a lot more common and accepted, and I don't want to, you know, not that I think people are very easily offended these days, so I'm not going to go down that whole sort of like pronouns and stuff like that. I'll probably get myself cancelled saying that these days, but I'm a little bit more black and white than that, I guess. But still, I think society is changed to the point where I just wouldn't make that assumption there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I used to get that quite a lot in the car trade, obviously, because it's so male orientated.
And now you're in the construction industry, which,
everyone's just like, oh, where's your boyfriend? And I'm like, I don't have a boyfriend, thank you.
Yeah.
But my girlfriend is such and such. And they're like, oh, okay. And you're like, what? Doesn't make me a different person, does it?
And you recently got married as well, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah, fair play.
I did.
Congratulations,
Thank
because it
you.
was only relatively recent, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I got married last September last year in Greece, in Crete. Yeah, it was amazing.
You're off soon, aren't you? You're going to Cyprus soon. So Rossi, me and Rossi have spoke for a while prior to this episode, and I went on a fantastic holiday to Cyprus last year, and Rossi has booked the same place, and I'm mega jealous. And if I remember rightly, it's not that far away, is it?
No.
How soon? When are you going?
A month on Tuesday.
There we go. Yeah, mega jealous, mega jealous. It's beautiful. You'll love it. So, yeah. Where did we get to? Where did we get up to?
So having Cooper and moving into my own house. Still in the car. I went back part-time when Cooper was about 1. Went back to work part-time. And then I moved over to Euro Car Parts in 2018. Still I'm pretty much on my own with Cooper in our house. And I went and worked at a garage for a little bit in reception. And that didn't really work out. So I went back to Euros, which is where I was before in sales. And they only had a job in the warehouse. And I was like, that's fine. I just need a part-time job and need some work.
Yeah.
Started there straight away, part-time. I was there for a year. So I was just doing school hours 9 till 2, which suited me really well. And then we had a operations manager of the warehouse. So you get a branch manager that looks over the whole branch. So you get the sales office, you get the warehouse, and you get the drivers. And this particular female was the operations manager. She'd come up from another branch, I think down south somewhere. And I was just in the warehouse. I was just picking the parts, giving them to the drivers all day on my feet, running around the warehouse. And she kept trying to talk to me all the time, giving it all the charm and stuff like that. And we started talking and stuff. And then we ended up going out. And it was all a little bit on the quiet at first because obviously we worked together. She came across a really nice person. Like, we got on really well, a few bits in common, and we started a proper relationship. And then soon after, this was probably January, February 19, this was. Started spending loads of time together, obviously working together all day as well. And then all of a sudden she was like, why don't you become warehouse supervisor? Why don't you go full time? And I sort of got pushed into that position because they needed a warehouse supervisor. So I went from being part-time to full-time supervisor. Cooper then had to go in breakfast club and after school club. So then it was quite full on. And then she started to turn. Then I started to see a different person. She started to be quite controlling, not very nice.
At home or at work?
Both.
Right.
Both. She would embarrass me in front of people in the warehouse if something got picked wrong, or there was another branch had ordered a part and it wasn't on the shelf. I'd then get shouted at in front of everyone, like, why is this part not there? Blah, blah, blah. She'd be shouting and screaming at me in front of people.
And were the people aware that you two were romantically
Yeah,
involved
yeah,
as well?
yeah.
Okay.
People started to know that we were together, and some people would come up to me and go, "Are you okay?" Like, her shouting at you like that, and I'm just like, "Yeah, I'm okay. Yeah, I'm fine. Like, I'm kind of used to it." And I just used to like brush it off. And she started to be a real bitch to me, like really horrible, pick on me, and just because it suited her.
Yeah.
And then other times she'd be really nice. So I'd have to drop Cooper off in the morning and get straight to work. I wouldn't have a lunch break because the breakfast club didn't open till 8 and I was meant to start work at 8. And then the after school club closed at 6 and I worked till 6. So I did 8 till 6. So I had to take away my 40-minute lunch and spread that between the morning and the night to be able to drop him off and pick him up. But it would get to an evening and it would get to like 20 to 6. And I'm like, I need to go. And she's like, well, no, you can't because you haven't finished that yet. Not, but I need to go and get Cooper. Like, I'm going to be late and I will get charged. Well, you need to finish that off then, don't you? And I'm like, what? And she just kept being just picking at me all the time. And I'm thinking, I'm not good enough for this. I can't do this job. Like, I'm not good enough. And I was made to feel like I wasn't good enough. And even out of work as well. She would stay at work late and then come to mine, like very late at night, 9, 10 o'clock, and then want me to sit up for hours with her because she just finished work. But I want to go to bed.
Yeah.
I've done a full day. I've looked after my child. He's now in bed. I've got to be up at 6 in the morning. Like, I don't need to be up till 12, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. So she'd then have a go at me for that. And it was just constant all the time. And I was like, I've had enough. And obviously I didn't really tell many people. My mum wasn't very impressed about who I was going out with. Okay. So that put a little bit of a divide between me and my mum. She didn't see Cooper as much. She didn't see me as much because I felt like whenever I had any spare time, it was all with her all the time. And I didn't really see hardly anybody, if I'm honest. One of my best friends, Kim, she works at one of the garages, so I know her through the trade. And she became a really good friend of mine. She knew everything that was going on. And sometimes we'd all go around hers because she was also her friend as well. And she always just said to me, look, mate, it's not going to work. She's not who you think she is. She'll mess you around.
Oh, she knew already?
Yeah, because she knew like people that she'd been out with previously, right, that she'd not been very nice to and things like that. And she was just like, mate, you just need to get out of it.
So it's a pattern of behaviour.
Yeah. Start off all really, really nice. I'll do this for you, I'll do that for you, and then turn. Like, now you need to do all of that for me.
There's a few expressions for it, isn't there? I mean, I feel the word narcissist is like massively. It's appropriate, but it's also overused.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people throw that at people.
They do.
From what you've just said, that is like clear narcissistic behaviour and pattern.
Very much so.
Pattern of behaviour.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, she was, just horrible. Even at home, one night we'd ordered a pizza. And we were upstairs and the door went, must have been about 9 o'clock at night, something like that. And the door went, and because I didn't get up straight away and go down and open the door to get the pizza, she went down and I obviously followed her and went into the kitchen. Next minute, and I'm getting grabbed by my throat and pushed up against the sink because I didn't go and answer the door immediately.
Oh yeah, that ain't like, normal, mate, is it?
Never been so scared in all my life because obviously she was bigger than me and taller than me. She was probably 6 foot and she was bigger than me as well. So she would use her size and build a lot as well, and she would intimidate people. She would do it to the drivers at work as well. So that was one of the first incidents that happened in the sink, and I was just like, she just threw the pizzas on the side and was like, "What the fuck didn't you answer that door?" Blah blah blah, and I was just like, "What?" Didn't think of anything of it. I wasn't going to retaliate because I thought I don't know what she's going to do.
Yeah.
So I left it at that. And And then a few things happened at work one day. She tried to send me home. She tried to basically say that I didn't have a job anymore. And I was just like, I'm not going home. She was like, go home. She was like, don't bother coming back tomorrow. You haven't got a job. And I was thinking, okay, whatever. And all afternoon she was trying to send me home. And I was just like, what should I do? Should I actually go home? Should I do as I'm told? Should I not? And I stayed. And then I even used to go and pick up Cooper from after school club and bring him back to work because she was still working, which meant then I still had to work.
Yeah.
And sometimes I would just sit at my desk because I'd done all my work, because I worked 8 till 6. Anything after 6 wasn't my problem.
But you were being controlled at that point.
Yeah, and because she didn't do her work during the day, she would then have to stay late to catch up because she's so busy on her phone talking to everyone else. She wasn't concentrating on what she's meant to do in her working hours. She then stayed late, and then I got roped into staying late, which then Cooper would sit with me at my desk and would sit and draw and stuff like that, and then he would get bored. She would then tell him to shut up pretty much and do as you're told, and she wasn't very nice to him either.
Right.
We had to work alternate Saturdays, and I just used to pray and try and get my mum or my friend Kim to have Cooper on the Saturday that I was working, because I didn't want to leave him with her at home. She would sleep all day because she goes to bed so late. She would sleep all day and not wake up. And there's me leaving to go to work 8 till 4 on a Saturday and leaving him there. I would make his packed lunch. He was probably 5, 6 years old, maybe.
Yeah.
Or 5 or 6. And I used to hate it. And he would say to me, like, she grabbed me by the scruff of my neck and she pushed me in my bedroom, and he's told me he's hid under his bed before when she shouted at him and stuff like that, and it breaks my heart. And I got to the point where I just tried to make sure that every other weekend he was busy, or I would say, oh, my mum's asked to have him because they're going so-and-so, or Kim said that he could have a sleepover because they're going to go out on Saturday and do X, Y, Z, and I would find myself making things up.
Yeah.
So he was busy, so he was away from her because I didn't want him to be with her.
The thing is, Rossi, it's easy for people to look in from the outside as well, isn't it? And sort of go, well, I'd just leave. But it's a slow progression to get to that point, isn't it? And it's that the love bombing to begin with.
Yeah.
You know, the super nice, which then, you know, and then it gets mixed in with like narcissistic behaviour, back to being nice. Well, maybe I'm wrong, maybe it's just me. But it's like full on psychological manipulation to get to the point of being fully controlled, as it were.
Yeah.
And I guess at that point, you just start to question everything, question whether it's you, question, you know, are you imagining it? But yeah, I'm sorry to hear that you went through that because it sounds shit.
Yeah, it was two years in total.
Right. And that's a long time.
There was a couple of other times. I think I even answered her back one evening and I got grabbed again and I got my head whacked on the bathroom door and literally put up by my throat by the door. And I think I can't even react back because I just did. And look what happened.
Yeah.
So that's happened a couple of times and at work as well. And I only really used to speak to Kim about it because she was very aware of what she was like and things like that. And I didn't want to tell anybody else. And people at work were sort of getting the gist that she wasn't very nice to me, and they would say, like, are you okay? And I'd be like, yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, of course I am. Yeah. It's like, I'm used to it. Don't worry about it. Just ignore her. Like, I just get on with my work. And then she then got moved. Luckily enough, she then got moved to another branch. And then everyone started coming up to me going, how do you put up with this? And I was thinking, why did you not say anything before? I thought you lot all loved her and got on with her and no one ever said anything. But now I've seen a different side. As soon as she'd left, everyone was like, she's disgusting. You can't be with her. She's horrible. She's not very nice to you. And I was like, I know. I need to do something about it. Yeah. But like you say, working and living with somebody and being around them all the time, it's very hard to just get up and leave.
That's tough anyway. I mean, I love my wife to bits, Ange, love you. But we couldn't work together.
No.
We couldn't. We're too, I mean, us two, we're too, I think we're both too dominant. Like we've got alpha issues. So it's there would be a constant battle between the two of us. It just wouldn't work. So, and we're both aware of that. Like, we both know this. We both know
Yeah.
that we couldn't work together. But all credit to couples that do, because I think
I
anyone.
couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it.
Well, I think there's a lot of truth in that old adage of absence makes a heart grow fonder.
Yeah.
I was struggling for the saying that, but there is, though, isn't there? I think sometimes you do in a relationship need time apart in order to appreciate what you got.
Of course you do.
You need something to look forward to. I'm looking forward to going home and seeing my
And
partner,
then you
my
talk
wife,
about your
my
day,
husband.
don't you? Because if you're with each
Exactly.
other all day, what do you talk about?
Yeah, I
You
can't.
need to still, although you can be the best couple together, you still need to be your own person at the same time, don't you? You need to go off
100%.
and still do your own things. And that's what I
Definitely.
lost when I was in that relationship. I didn't know who I was anymore.
You just end up blending into, and if you're with somebody that's that controlling, you then end up being like the sidecar to their journey.
Yeah.
You just
And it
get
was all
pulled
about
wherever
what they
they're
wanted
going.
to do all the time. And I had never had no say in anything. And the minute I arranged to do something with Cooper and she wasn't there, I'd get hell for leather for it.
It was a problem. Yeah.
Why are you doing that without me? I'll never forget that. You'll never live it down. And I'd get all of these comments. And I think, do you know what? The comments hurt more. You can punch and hit me all day long, but the things that you say will stick with me.
It's manipulation, though, Rossi. That's what that is. It's control, manipulation, and all that. And it's people like that. They sort of, it's like they're professionals at it. And I think they do over the course of their life. They go through their relationships and they chip away at people, and then they retain the bits that work.
Yeah.
And then they end up becoming this psychological monster that can manipulate people and use them, is what happens. But obviously you got to the point where you managed to get out of that. How did that come about?
So I was at work on a Saturday and Cooper was with my mum. So she was at home sleeping all day as normal. So I was at work and it was about 3:15, so we only worked till 4 anyway. And she rings me. Do you want to do such and such tonight? And I said, well, no, not really. It's because Cooper's not very well. So ideally I need to go and get him from mum's, bring him home, and he needs to go to bed. That didn't go down too well because she wanted to go out and do something. And I was just like, no, I actually put my foot down. I said, no, like, I'm not having it. I said, I've got work to do. I've got 45 minutes until I finish. I need to come off the phone. I've got warehouse people in front of me wanting to get the last few bits done. Like, I manage them. It's my job. I can't sit here on the phone to you whilst I'm trying to work. I'm going to come down there then and speak to you, and you can come out the back and you can talk to me. I said, no, I can't because I'm working. You can come down at 4:00, no problem. Put the phone down. Next minute I know. And I said to my boss, Ollie, at the time, I said, she's going to turn up down the back because obviously down the back of our building where all the drivers park their vans is just like a load of units, like a retail park. And you obviously get the delivery vans that drive around the back, don't you? And you lift your shutter up. It was like one of them. Within 10 minutes, she come flying down in her car out the back, and that's where we used to park. Yeah, I knew it was coming. And I said to Ollie, because we've got cameras front and back, I said, watch the camera. I said, because she's probably going to kick off. I said, but I'm not going out there until I finish. And he said, okay. He said, I'll watch the cameras. And then she kept ringing me. It was 3:50. And Ollie was like, look, get your bag and go. Like, just go out the back. So I got my bag. I went out the back. And my TT at the time was parked on the side and she'd parked just in front of it. And I walked over to get in my car and she was like, get in the car. So I went to the passenger side of her car and she undid the window. And she said, get in the car. And I said, no. She went, get in the fucking car. And I went, no. She went, get in the car. And I went, no. So she got out, scared the life out of me. I pegged it back to the back door and ran inside. And she come to the door and like said to her, because there was a couple of drivers like lingering around, and she said hello to him. And she said, come on, we need to go. And I said to Alex, the warehouse guy at the time, I said, keep your eye. I said, don't shut this door. Because she said, close the door. And I said to Alex, don't shut that door. So we didn't. He was right by the door the whole time. And I come back out and she's like, get in the car. I said, no. I said, I'm not doing this anymore. I said, I'm done. I started crying. I went to try and get in my car because there's like a stone ledge. So I stepped up on the stone ledge and there was like loads of like the metal railings, you know, like the crisscross ones, like quite high. Was trying to get in my car. She was pushing me away, so I wasn't able to get in my car. So I went round the other side to get in. She won't let me in again. To talk to me, we need to sort this out. You're not going anywhere. I said, I am. I said, I need to go and get Cooper. I said, I'm not doing this anymore. I said, we are done. And she was like, no, we're not. We can do this. We can fix this, as they all do. I said no. She was trying to grab me, and I held onto the railings, and she was trying to grab me off the railings, and I was holding on really tight. Ended up having like loads of cut marks on my hands where she was trying to grab me, and she let go in the end, and she sat down on the wall, and I was crying my eyes out. And by this time it was gone 4:30, and the back door was then closed. I wasn't too sure if my boss was still inside or anything. I was crying, she was crying. I said, I'm fed up. I said, I'm not doing this. I said, you need to leave me alone. And we had a conversation, and I said, I will pack all your stuff up. I said, but you need to move out. I said, I'm done. I said, I'm not doing it anymore. And she just sort of wasn't fighting. She was just like, we can sort it out. Like, what's the issues? And I was thinking, what's the issues? There's an issue every day. I said, I'm fed up of it. And I said, I'm going. I said, I need to go and get Cooper. And I'd already texted my mum and said, please can you keep Cooper just a little bit longer for me? I'm just trying to sort something out. And I got in my car, I locked the door, I turned my car around, and I sped off, hoping to God that she wouldn't follow me. And I drove straight to my best friend's house, Kim.
Yeah.
And I got to her house. Obviously she wasn't expecting me. Banged on the door, went in. I was literally in floods of tears, in an absolute state. And she was like, mate, what has happened? I said, I can't do this anymore. I said, this is like my worst nightmare. And I told her everything. And she said, mate, now this is your get out. She said, go home, go to your mum's and get Cooper, go home and lock that door. She said, I will send my mate round tomorrow and he will change all the locks for you. Because obviously she had a key.
Yeah.
She said, go in, sort Cooper out. And then she said, pack all of her shit, pack all of her stuff, message her mum and her mate and say, come and collect all of her stuff by tomorrow, meaning Sunday evening. Because I'm finished. And so I messaged her friend and I messaged her mum, and I packed everything up, like literally every last thing, even to a cup in the cupboard, like the whole lot.
No reason to come back.
Yeah. So there was nothing there at all. I mean, there was bikes, everything. And I managed to they turned up on the Sunday, and I rammed everything in both of their cars. Yeah, 2 cars, absolutely full. And Kim's friend changed the locks for me, and I started afresh, and I never heard a word from her since. Nothing. Really? To this day, still nothing at all.
How was that feeling?
And it was the best feeling in the world.
I was going to say, that moment where those cars were packed.
I was like...
And they drove away. How was that feeling?
Amazing. Yeah. I even, in that 2-hour period that they were going to turn up, Kim had Cooper for me because I didn't want him there. So he went round hers for a few hours, and they came and packed everything, and then I locked my doors and I went round to see Kim and spent the evening there. And you know, when you're just like...
the weight. Yeah. The thing is, I mean, as horrible as that period in your life was, I've developed the sort of mindset, and I've mentioned this several times, where I talk about the value in trauma. And as shit as that relationship was for 2 years, doesn't that then give you the insight of what a good relationship is when they come along?
Yeah.
And like, obviously now you're married, so you've found the right one.
It tells you everything you need to know and everything that you do not want in a relationship going forward.
Yeah. And I think that's key for a lot of people, for anyone really, to move on from a bad time, is to try and take whatever lesson it offered you and use it as a lesson. Because if you dwell on it, if you dwell on that shit period of your life and you start questioning yourself, like, why did I do this? Why didn't I do this? Why didn't I get rid of her sooner? Why did I put up with it for 2 years? Or, you know, you mentioned that you feel bad thinking back to how she was towards your son. But all of those things where you can hang on to potential guilt and regret, it doesn't benefit you in any way. But if you can flip that and use it as a lesson, as hard and horrible as they are, I really believe that, you know, it's a massive mindset shift if you can adopt it.
Yeah.
To see all those bad times. And then, like I said, then you can appreciate you're now in a good relationship, you know. Now you can appreciate all the good things and all the positives and benefits. You know, it's like anything, isn't it? If you eat horrible tasting food for a week, that first meal is going to taste amazing,
Yeah.
you know. And that's the same, I believe, with anything in
Yeah.
life. It's shit while you're in it, but once you can step back and look and take the value from that trauma,
Yeah.
it then becomes a life lesson, and it becomes part of what makes you who you are and part of your character moving forwards.
Yeah. I did for a
So
while, like, dwell on it and think, why did I put up with it? I'm such a bad human. Like, how could anyone hurt my child and me continue in that situation and treat me like that? But then I think, hold on a minute, it's learnt me a massive lesson here.
yeah, exactly.
Going forward, I will
Yeah,
not ever let anybody do that to me or my child ever again.
yeah, and
And I
there's your
just won't.
lesson.
And it
Yeah,
instantly made me a stronger person then,
yeah,
which then helped
yeah.
because I got knocked so much. Then I was on my own for a while, just being me, doing me and my little boy, and I was happy as ever. And obviously that was some of it was during COVID as well. And obviously because we were key workers, I worked through the whole of it.
Oh, of course, yeah, in the automotive side.
And yeah,
Yeah.
and there was a guy that used to deal with all the drivers, and his partner, Cara, she had a little boy and a little girl, and the little boy, Joseph, he was the same age as Cooper. And she was off work, and she said to me, because Alex had said, like, if you need childcare for Cooper, Cara will happily have him and he can play with Joseph. So most days Cara would come and pick him up, and have him whilst I was working and things like that. And then I became really good friends with Cara, and we stayed in contact, and we'd see each other every week because the boys become really good friends. And then it was 2 years ago, Christmas 2 years ago, Cara said, "Oh, I'm going to invite all the girls round for Christmas drinks and stuff." So I went round, and there was a few girls. There's probably 7 or 8 of us, and one of them was Cara's cousin, which is Stacey, who I'm with now.
Oh, okay.
That's her cousin. So I met her that night,
Right.
and we got on really well. And we've seen each other every day ever since. And
Beautiful.
we started seeing each other, and then we started going out, and then I knew, like, wow, this is what it's meant to be like.
Yeah.
When you meet the one. You know, they say when you meet the one, you know. You actually do.
Yeah.
And I knew from pretty much straight away she was the one. And I knew that then I would be with her forever.
To be fair, I mean, one of the beauties of social media is you get these little windows into people's lives where you can spy. I've seen the stuff that you've posted of you and your wife, and to be fair, you guys look dead happy.
Yeah,
so
she's
you can
the
tell.
most amazing person that I've honestly ever met. She's brilliant with Cooper.
Are you saying this because you know she's going to listen to this, Rossi?
She probably is.
Rossi admitted pre-record that her wife is a huge fan of the Talking Tradesman
Yeah,
podcast.
she is, yeah.
So let's give Stacey a shout out. Hi, Stacey.
She's just amazing. She's took on Cooper like her own. She's just there for me and him all the time. She's just, she's brilliant.
I'm really glad you found that.
Yeah.
I'm really glad you found that. What I do want to get onto now, Rossi, is how you've ended up
as a decorator.
As a decorator, yeah. So you've been going just over a year now.
Yes.
I mean, I've got to say, in that time, I thought it was longer than that, but you're flying. You've got a nice van. But let's start at the beginning of that. Where did that come about? Like, why and how?
So I've always liked decorating like my own house, and I've always been quite house proud, and I like things to look nice, and I see things on Pinterest, and I build an idea, and I'm like, yes, I'm going to decorate my living room like that. I'm going to do my whole stairs and landing like that.
Yeah.
And I just always used to do it at my own time. And I was still at Euros, and Stacey was like, why don't you become a painter and decorator? Like, it's what you love.
Yeah.
Why don't you do it? No, I can't do that. I can't work for myself. Like, it's not possible. Put myself down as I always do. And the August before, my stepdad lost his licence from speeding for 6 months, and he's got his own company. He's in construction, so he does extensions. Pretty much he'll turn his hand to anything. And 6 months he lost his licence, and I said to him jokingly one day, I said, I'll be your driver, I'll drive your van for you. And he said, I need you to help me though as well. Would you help me? And I said, yeah. I said, have a think about it. And about a week later, he came back to me and he said, yeah, all right then, come and work with me for 6 months. So I was like, okay. So I turn up at his every morning, 7:30. Stacey then took on the mum role because she was doing the school runs in the morning, she was doing the pickups, she was doing the dinner, and I was working all day from 7:30 in the morning and not getting home till 5:30 at night.
With your stepdad?
Yeah, with my stepdad.
What was he? Was he a painter?
No.
I was going to say, yeah.
He's a builder.
Right, okay.
So he literally does everything.
Mm.
So I worked with him. I mean, we was digging holes, we were putting fences in, we were putting kitchens in, and we painted a whole house. A couple of them. We put insulation in lofts. We were up on roofs, and I was watching him change the tiles and things like that. And he just was teaching me loads of stuff, laying flooring and things like that. And I started to build up. I bought a few drills and little bits and bobs and started building up my kit. And he said to me, come February when I get my licence back, he said, why don't you go out on your own? Like, here's your chance. And Stacey was like, do it. If you don't do it now, you won't. Like, this is your push.
Yeah.
This is the prime time. So I was like, do you know what? Okay, I'm going to give it a go. Started looking for a van straight away. Found my van. And then in the January last year, I set up my Facebook and my Instagram.
I love that though. I mean, one thing I'll just pull back quickly to is, doesn't it make a difference having a partner that supports and pushes you?
Yeah, 100%. I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have done it if she hadn't have made me.
I mean, I'm the same. I wouldn't be sat here now if Ange hadn't done this.
Yeah.
Like, if she hadn't have forced me to take on the tenancy of this place, and and I'm loving doing the podcast now, and it's growing and it's doing really well. But I would not be sat here now if I wasn't pushed.
No, I wouldn't either.
But
I will sit and think about things just like you. I will sit and think about it for a long time, and I just need to make sure.
I think when you're possibly sort of, I guess my baseline would be to talk myself out of things. If you're in a relationship where the other person actually wants to hold you back, wants the control, it's quite easy to do that.
Yeah.
Because I know previously for me, I wouldn't have had the support I've got now, and it would be very easy to go, no, why are you going to do that? That ain't going to work. And then you're not going to go anywhere, are you?
You're not, no.
Because I think a lot of that comes down to insecurity from the other person.
Yeah.
And to have a partner that truly wants the best for you, wants you to grow, wants you to be successful, there's so much power to that, But if you are the other way around and you've got somebody that actually is scared that if you evolve and you do well, it's more of I think it's an insecurity on their behalf. What if she does really well? What if that business really takes off? Am I going to get left behind? But to have a partner that doesn't have that and they just genuinely want the best for you regardless.
Yeah. She's there literally every step of the way. I mean, I must bore her with all the decorating.
No, but it's a really powerful thing. It's a really powerful thing to know that, like with you saying that now, that it was her that pushed you to do it.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Fair play. Well done.
She said you can put anything you put your mind to, you can do it, and you always think that you automatically can't, and you haven't got the confidence, and you get anxious about it. And yes, I do.
Well, massive credit to her for that.
If I hadn't have done it, I wouldn't be where I am. Yeah. Where I am today.
And it's not to take the credit away from you, because it's damn hard work setting up your own business, and you've got yourself out there and you're doing what you're doing. So it's not, it's like a teamwork thing, isn't it? But I think every successful person, I think you look into it, 90% of them have got somebody behind them, giving them a shove and a push, because we all get insecure. We all get imposter syndrome. We all question ourselves. And sometimes it does need that person in the background to just now and again, just let you know, no, you're on the right path.
Yeah.
Keep doing what you're doing. Keep at it. It makes all the difference.
Yeah, it does. 100%. It's helped me build myself. Because even still now, when I get a quote and I go and see the customer, I work myself up about going and how
about going to quote.
Yeah, about how I'm going to present myself, make sure I look at everything, because I've been to a couple of jobs and they've turned out to be a lot worse than imagined. But obviously, until you start prepping, you don't know what you're going to come up against, do you?
Yep.
And obviously, every job is so different. There's no two jobs the same, is there? Everything you go to. And as I said, when I started in January on Instagram, Rich Major League, he was one of the first guys that I spoke to.
Shout out, Rich.
He was one of the first guys that I spoke to.
Yeah, he's a great bloke.
And he was all for helping me.
Yeah.
Ever need any help, drop me a message, send me a voice note. And he was literally always there. I mean, I was messaging him all the time, like, what about this? What's best to use on that? And I thinking back, and I think because I've got OCD and things like that, I have to know every single stage of something. It has to be just right.
Yeah.
I want to use the best stuff. If that is slightly better than that filler, I want to use that. And do I do it with this and then do that after, or do I do that first and then that after? And I very much have to get it all in my head.
Yeah.
But then it takes over my head, and certain jobs are coming up, and I'm overthinking everything.
Yeah.
And it literally bends my head. I don't know if it gets any better.
It does. I think the best way to explain it, Rossi, from my point of view, you're obviously very new to the trade.
Yeah.
So there's people out there, like, use myself as an example. I've been running the business 22 years. I've been in the trade for a lot longer than that. The only difference between me and you is I have fucked up a lot more than you, basically. But like I said before, is as long as you take the lesson from that, and that's where most of my knowledge comes from. I've now got a database in my head where I look at a job and I go, oh, I remember that. I've had that before.
Mm-hmm.
This went wrong on that. I lost money here. And because I've got this vast sort of like database of all the work that I've done up to this date, now I like to think that, touch wood, not that many jobs do go wrong, because I haven't been there, seen there and done it all by a long stretch, and I'm still learning, particularly like the new methods. But I've definitely got a database of past jobs of most varieties. And it's the same with quoting. It's not that I am some kind of supercomputer when I walk into a room, but I'll look and I'll go, yeah, this lounge or this staircase or this pub or whatever it might be, that reminds me of that other one I did. Mm-hmm. That took me about 3 weeks, or that took me 2 weeks. Remember that problem I had there? Or, and it's just, when I look at a job now, I just pull together this database of, I've seen that issue before. That will take this to fix it.
Yeah.
And that's all it is.
Yeah.
And you can't buy that experience. You have to earn it.
Yeah.
You've just got to go out there, do it. Use the beauty that you've got that I never had is this social network of people. Like, when I started in business, there was no Instagram.
No.
And the one thing I would say for the decorating community in particular, it is very friendly and helpful.
Yeah.
Like you've mentioned, Rich, there's so many people out there that you can message and will come back to you with advice and help. And there used to be a little bit of I'm not going to give away my tips because they're mine, but it was, things used to be different though, Rossi, because the decorators I spoke to in years gone by were my local competition.
Yeah.
And everybody was very cloak and dagger. You'd sort of nod your head, all right, mate, got plenty on. And everyone would invariably go, stacked.
Yeah.
Like, honestly,
yeah.
I know people. So I grew up in a pub, basically. And there are certain decorators that still drink in this pub. They're local decorators, not on social media and all the rest of it. And there's a couple of them that I know, and my dad knows full well, have been known in the past to have had a day off work, but will put their overalls on to go to the pub to make it look like they've been at work, because they don't want anyone to know
that they're quiet.
Because either they might be, they might have just finished the job a day early.
Yeah.
But that sort of like, you walk in the pub door, oh, day off, is it? Oh, got no work. So they would go and get their painting clothes on to go to the pub, to go to the bar. I mean, how mad's that? But that was, that's how things are changing now. Whereas social media, like, if you hit me up and you go, Russ, what would you use for this? Or have you seen this issue before? I'm like, well, you're in Northampton. With all the best will in the world, you're not my competition.
No.
And probably never will be, just based on location.
Yeah.
So it is a good network.
I think that's what I like about the decorating industry, like, since being on Instagram. Everyone is so friendly and they will offer help and advice, and you can ask anybody. I mean, I can't remember. I think you were the next person that I started speaking to on Instagram, and then you welcomed me into that WhatsApp group.
Yeah.
And ever since, I mean, I'm really, really close to Darren Nunn and Kat.
Yeah, lovely people.
I'm so close to them two out of anyone.
Shout out Kat, Pink Bristles, Darren Nunn as well. Yeah, you guys.
Definitely, them two, like, just, really good friends with them two. I've been to shows with Kat last year, and then obviously seen you at the show last year. And you can put anything in that WhatsApp group, can't you? And someone will answer, someone will reply, with some help and advice.
But that's what it is. I mean,
it's really nice.
Yeah.
Whether you've been like decorating a couple of months or 10 years, it makes no difference to anybody.
You've seen the other podcasts that we've done, and one of the main topics of conversation being like the mental health situation. And one of the big issues to me with that is the solitude of working alone. And I think that having those WhatsApp groups, the Instagram groups, and all the reach that is there now, I think that helps.
It does, definitely.
With that, because you don't feel alone.
No.
Because in years gone by, you were.
Yeah.
You know, if something happened on a job and you didn't know what to do,
what do you do?
Exactly.
Because you are all by yourself, aren't you? And literally, it's just me and my music all day.
Yeah.
I listen to music all day long.
And the Talking Tradesman podcast, of course.
Yes, I do. Love it. And and send voice notes on Instagram if I need any help and advice, or if anybody messages me. And that's my day. And sometimes you think it is quite lonely on your own. It can be. And it does make you think, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Particularly if you're inclined to be an overthinker anyway.
Yeah.
Which by the sounds of it you are.
Yeah.
I
Massively.
am. And I will run a million things through my head while I'm at work.
And Stacey will go, just chill out. Just chill out. Like, work's over now. Don't worry about it. It's just another job.
It does.
That does get better.
That does get better. I was the same as you. Look,
what about that? And
it's very new at the moment. You know, first probably 3 years, I would say, Rossi, you're going to bed in. You know, and you will just naturally just stick at it. You will get more confident and competent in what you do. And you'll just naturally get more confident. You know, it's perfect. Everything you're going through now is perfectly natural. Rich sat here a few weeks ago and said much what you were saying, but there's that feeling of the imposter syndrome, the am I good enough kind of thing.
I think that's why we get on quite well. We're on quite a level. I think we're very similar within like work and stuff.
That's the double-edged sword of Instagram though, because as well as the community that's there with social media, you are also seeing the best of the best, and the biggest accounts with the biggest followings are naturally the ones that are doing the best work. And it's natural for anyone to compare themselves to those accounts and the work that they're churning out and think, Christ, man, how am I going to get up there? You know, but if you use it as inspiration,
and that's what
good.
I've turned it into.
Yeah, that's where it's got to be, rather than intimidation. And you know,
that's another thing Stacey got me to do as well. To be fair to her, she told me to look at it in that way, because I've said to her before, like, look at the work they're producing. Like, it's just amazing. Like, your work is just phenomenal. Brendan, BSA, Paint Warrior. Like, it's just, the work is just wow.
Well, thank you. First of all, thank you.
Honestly, it's just wow, and just,
But you'll get there.
Yeah.
It's that.
That's what I say to myself. And Brendan, I've had conversations with Brendan before, and he said, don't compare yourself to me, to all these other people that are up there at the moment, because you will get there.
100%.
And you are just as good, if not better. Just concentrate on yourself.
Yeah.
Work on yourself and just produce the best work that you can produce. And that's the
all
best thing that he's ever told me. And it will always stick with me.
Think of it another way. Wouldn't it be boring if you were at your peak now? Because where do you go from there?
Yeah, exactly.
And I still look at myself that way. You know, I don't look at myself as a finished article, far from it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm still thinking there's things I could get better at, you know.
Yeah.
I could get better at spraying, I can get better at paper hanging. There's still, I still think I'm good at what I do, but I know there's improvement to be made. You know, I still make mistakes. Everybody does.
Yeah.
But I think it would really be genuinely extremely boring if you reach the peak.
Yeah.
There's actually...
You'd get bored and then your eye would be off the ball, wouldn't it? Because you think it was just easy and then it becomes mundane.
Well, to be honest with you, Rossi, I've looked at a few psychological studies, like studying psychology, but there's a phenomenon with like athletes, like world-class athletes, like Olympians and stuff like that, where they are interviewed and say they've set a new world record in whatever discipline they do. And when they're interviewed, they actually describe it as initially elation, but then the come down from it is like despair. And a lot of them spiral into depression because they've kind of like achieved their life goal.
Yeah.
They've kind of hit something that they think that they're probably never going to get as good. That was their best ever effort at. Where do you go from there?
Yeah.
At least with, you know, what we're doing, It's just like being an Olympian. But at least with being in the trades, in any trade, you can always aspire to do better.
Yes.
And whether
Yeah.
that's
And with the
profit
way that
lines
things
or
are
speed.
changing and stuff as well, you can only get better, can't you, if you put your mind to it.
And I can't remember who I was talking to now, but I said my point was this. So I've been running my business 22 years now. Now, although that seems like, well, that's 22 years experience, I was like, do you know what? I reckon 12 of that at least is redundant now, because I've got all this experience doing stuff like hand sanding with old scratch paper, which is what we did for the first 5 years.
Yeah.
Working with oil-based paints.
Yeah.
All the exterior work I used to do, which I no longer do. So a lot of my experience is now actually outdated, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
So in the modern techniques of the trades, and again, this is across all disciplines, because carpentry, there's new equipment, plastering, there's new equipment. So even when you look at lads that have been in the trade as long as me, don't think, oh man, they've got like loads more experience than me, because all the modern techniques take that experience away. That's gone. It's redundant now. So like dustless sanding, one of the biggest things in painting and decorating these days. I've had my kit, I don't know, maybe 5-6 years. That's how much experience I've got in that. My sprayer, I've had 5 years. I've got 5 years spraying experience. Not 22, 5.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? You're not that far behind, really.
No, not when you look at it like that.
No. Well, as the trade evolves, the next new thing that will come along, there'll be something. You get it. You're just as experienced as the next person that's brand new.
Yeah.
So, what have you found the hardest in the trade so far?
Nothing specific. I found it all quite hard because it's all down to me. There's no one else to fall back on. No one else is going to sort this out if it doesn't get done.
All the credit's yours too, though.
True, very true. And I think that's what helps me build myself up and makes me believe in myself more, to know that I've got this far, I've done this all by myself. Like, I should be proud of that, and I am really, really proud. So there isn't anything specifically. I've found all of it hard, in all fairness, because from the minute that someone messages you, that's on you then. All eyes on you. You need to make sure you reply promptly. You need to make sure if you're going to book an appointment, you need to be there. You need to arrive, because I find a lot of people that I go to will say, I've messaged 5 people and you're the only one that has responded. I'm like, really? Like, no matter how busy I am, I will reply to everybody that messages me. I will not reply, because I don't want them to think bad of me and go, oh, don't use her because she don't reply to you. And just trying to be the best that I can be, is learn as much as I possibly can. And
it's a very good time to get into the building trades.
Yeah.
There is a huge skills shortage, and there is you have got to put a big effort into it when you start a business up. That's without doubt. But there's also a point where you have to realise that once you've honed your skills, you are the desirable commodity. The customers, although they're obviously extremely important, without the customers, you have no business.
Yeah.
But the days of hunting work and the customer's always right, I would put it out there, controversial as this might be, and say they're gone. So once you are established, you then become the commodity now, because the building trades are screaming for skilled tradespeople. So all you've got to do really is focus on your skills, get their reputation out there, and the rest will take care of itself. Particularly with the way that it's going at the moment. I mean, with the rate of people dropping in and out, or dropping out compared to coming in another 10 years, people are going to be crying for tradespeople, because they're just not replacing the ones that are leaving. And if it's any consolation, when it comes to businesses, I think the statistics say something like, when it comes to a new business, I think it's about 60% of new businesses fail within the first 12 months. And that percentage rises to like 80% after 18 months. So once you've made it past that 18-month mark, you're pretty much home and dry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which you're not far away from now, by the sounds of it.
Luckily enough, my work's been steady the whole time.
There we go.
A lot of it through word of mouth, with my mum being a mobile hairdresser, some of her clients.
Yeah.
And then obviously friends and family and things like that, and also Facebook as well. The only times I've been quiet was Christmas and January. I was
Which
very, very
traditionally is
quiet,
normal.
and then it built up in Feb, and I'm now booked until the start of May.
There we go.
So, and it always gets to, I finish all my quotes, and then I have a couple of weeks where I don't hear anything from anyone, and then I think, oh God, it's going to come up soon, and I'm not going to have any work. And then all of a sudden, like yesterday, I thought that exact feeling last week, and then over the weekend and yesterday, I did 4 quotes, and I got 3 of them straight away.
There we go.
So
it's bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because I have the same thing. I'll have no inquiries for weeks. And then it's one of the things I kind of, don't get me wrong, it can be a bit anxiety inducing at times. But one of the beauties of the trade is you can go from having maybe 2 weeks work ahead of you to a few phone calls, and all of a sudden you're 6 months booked up. It only takes one big job or one contract to lead to another. And there's something nice about that. Like I don't like it to be mega unpredictable, but I like some element of unpredictability about it. It keeps me interested.
Yeah.
I guess is the best way to describe that. But so out of the 1.3 years you've been in business, Rossi, you got to answer this one, right? Because I know somebody will be listening to this question. What was your best moment in business?
The moment Kev asked me to be an
There we
ambassador.
There we go. Kev Tingley, there we go. So yeah, the paint, I mean, fair play to you for one. Like I was glad to see that.
Nearly fell
you've
off my
got
chair,
that.
honestly.
But yeah, I mean, Kev, obviously previous guest, massive shout out to Paint Warrior. And for those of you listening that don't know or maybe don't follow Rossi, although you will do now, I'm sure, Rossi is one of Paint Warrior's brand ambassadors.
Yeah, that is definitely the highlight of my my time so far.
Yeah,
100%. Yeah,
tell me a bit about the role, Rossi. What does it mean to be a brand ambassador for Paint Warrior?
It just means you help and you support his brand.
Yeah,
I mean, I've been using the brushes not far off from when I started, and I've bought so many different branded brushes, and I just kept going back to them every single time. But I bought a pack of 3, just the oval angle ones, and then
no
I
bullshit.
started buying,
they are a good brush.
Yeah, and then I started buying all the other ones, and I just kept putting them back and going back to these 3 every single time. And then I thought, do you know what? I'm going to try the cork. Everyone was going on about other corks. I've tried them all before, and tried his, and I was like, this is good stuff too. Like, I really like this. Started following him, was watching everything that he was doing. He's just such an inspirational guy, and he's so genuine.
Yeah.
You can't get a more genuine guy. He's just so down to earth. He doesn't profess to be the best of the best. He doesn't make people buy his stuff because it's the best.
Kev undersells himself.
Like, massively.
I've got all the time in the world for Kev after having him here and getting to know him a bit. Like you said, fantastically genuine person.
Yeah.
And he's got a lot to be proud of. Like his stuff that he's selling is genuinely good gear.
Yeah.
Is made by a painter and decorator. So what more could you want? Somebody who uses his own stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've said this over and over again. Like, all credit to Kev. Love his brand. Yeah, I'd love him to continue to do as well as he's doing. I think he's got a really bright future moving forwards over the years.
And he's always out there to help others all the time. And I'm just like, why would you even pick me? Like, I've been doing it not at the time, not even a year. Like, I'm just little me, just doing. It's one of the things I love.
Again, it's another credit to Kev is that, how can I put it? It would be very easy for him to have just highlighted and picked the biggest accounts that he could find. But what he's done is he's picked people that he believes in and wants to.
That's what he said to me.
Wants to support.
Believe that he has the potential. He said, "I will support you in everything you do and how far you go because there's something there and I believe in you and I believe that you will do really well."
What a credit to you, though.
So
to hear
like, wow,
a man like
amazing.
Kev with
yeah,
a bloke with Kev standing and following to have said that to you.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you can't. It's hard to see your own value at times, isn't it? Like you said, particularly if you doubt yourself, but then to have somebody who actually says, I see this in you,
Yeah.
Somebody shouting outside. But yeah, to have somebody that actually sees it externally from where you are, like that's got to have felt good.
It's really, really nice. I mean, I've been over to Milton Keynes a few times and met him, and we've had lunch and stuff, and I've picked up cork and things like that. And and a few weeks back, probably 5-6 weeks ago now, actually, he actually took me over to Paintwell in Milton Keynes, and he took me in there, introduced me to all the staff, and I set up an account there, and that's who I've been using, and they are so lovely. But he took the time out in his own time to meet me there, introduce me to everybody, and help me get an account set up and stuff. And
like you said, Rossi, he's
have
just
to do
a
that.
genuine guy.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah,
he's
shout
just
out
there
Kev, well done.
to support and help you. And I couldn't have asked for more. And even all the other ambassadors and stuff, get on with them all really well.
That's really
They're
cool.
all really nice. And obviously we've got a chat going on. And again, you just put in there if you want any help and advice and stuff. So it's nice.
Where do you see, where are you heading? What's the next, what do you want out of being a painter and decorator?
I just want to go to work every day and be happy. I want to learn something new all the time.
And
I
are
want
you
to constantly keep
happy
growing.
at the moment?
Yes, yeah, very happy. I do enjoy it. Although I stress myself out because I overthink my jobs. Once I'm at the job and I've started, I'm absolutely fine.
There we go. Yeah.
It's just the initial. What about this? What about this? Oh my God, I can't forget that. What about this? And it just goes round and round and round. I'm just like, chill out.
It's natural, and as I said though, Rossi, it will come with time, and I know that don't help at the moment. But some things you can't rush in life, and it's just that confidence and competence. But you can't. There's nothing I could tell you today that you can take away and go, right, tomorrow I'm confident, competent, and I'm not going to overthink it. You will.
Yeah.
I still occasionally, more bespoke jobs or jobs that I don't do very often, will get into that headspace, but I kind of find it refreshing.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, actually, this has got my attention now.
Because you're also challenging yourself constantly as well, so that it doesn't get to the point that it's boring.
Yeah.
And that's what I don't want. And hence I'd like to start using the sprayer just to see how I get on. I might not even like it, but it's also something else that I can learn.
Honestly, cherish these times. Cherish these times. It's not that I'm bored with the trade, but I do a lot of it on autopilot now because I have done it all a lot.
Yeah.
And most days my head is not where my body is. You know, I'll be thinking about thinking about podcasting. Like, this is also new to me.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, it's scary, it's exciting, it's, you know, so I'm buzzing to have something new.
Yeah.
To have jumped into now, which is kind of where you are in the decorating industry. Yeah. So cherish it while you can.
Yeah.
Because that feeling will eventually wear off, which you're probably sat there thinking, I can't wait for that to wear off. But it does eventually, and that there is something to be said for that, you know. But yeah, I mean, where are we at now? About an hour and a half in. Is there anything we haven't covered that you want to talk about?
No, not really.
There's a big thing that we haven't discussed, though. Where can we find you, Rossi?
Instagram, Rossi.Female Painter on Instagram.
I'll put all your details in the audio description, as I always do for any other guests. So you will be able to look in the description for the episode and find Rossi's links to her Instagram there. Go give her a follow. Is there anywhere else?
Facebook as well. It's just Rossi-Female Painter. Just those two platforms at the moment.
I'll add them in. Yeah, so all good?
Yeah.
In that case, big shout out to our new merchandise sponsors, Creative Branding Workwear, of which I'm sporting the hoodie over here. On the table behind the camera there is Rossi's little merchandise pack to take away. So massive thanks to you guys for supplying that. And as always, if you've enjoyed the episode, please give it a like, a share, a follow. And the thing that I would really like you guys to do now is, if you can, just take a minute, not even that, 15 seconds to leave a review. The reason I'm asking you to leave a review is not to inflate my ego, but it is because by getting reviews on the podcast, what it does, it boosts the podcast in the algorithms, so it will show the podcast to more new people. And as throughout, the message has been to try and spread mental health awareness in the construction industry. And the way to do that is to get more eyes and ears on the podcast. So please just take a few minutes, leave a review if you're on Spotify, subscribe if you're on YouTube, say nice things. That's about it. So thank you in anticipation. But yeah, thank you for listening.
Thank you.